Boom! Ta-da!
Ta-da! Good morning. I'm not lined up at the camera. There we go. Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you guys came to paint with me today. I've got a cute little nutcracker. It is the 5th in the series. We have one more to go, and that's the candy cane nutcracker. I'm really excited about that one. It's fun. So today we're going to be doing peppermints and nutcrackers, and I really like this piece. I like the dimension of it. I like the colors of it. And it's just a fun piece to paint. And it's going to round out our series of 6 nutcrackers very nicely. So before we get started on that, I have a couple of people to thank. I had a lovely visit this week from Faye Reed. It was so nice to see her, and it was just great to see a friendly face and to see a good friend. So thanks, Faye. I love your visit, and I really love the strawberry raspberry jam. It's delicious, delicious. And I have to thank Linda Safranco. Linda. For those of you that don't know, Linda is literally my right hand. She runs the Facebook group. She keeps everybody up to date on what's happening, when new patterns are released. She is absolutely phenomenal. And honestly, I could not do any of this without her. She just keeps me on the straight and narrow, keeps the group running smoothly. And there's just not enough thank yous for Linda. Love you, sweetie. Mwah. Thank you again. Can't possibly thank her enough. I have a bunch of members within my membership group that have been with me since day one. They've been with me for 5 years, and I'm just so grateful for all of them. They're just marvelous people. And if you're at all interested in joining our membership group, you can do so right on the YouTube channel. And we have 2 tiers. There's a smaller one that is like $6, I think it is, $6.99 or something like that. I can never remember. And one that is $29.99. And that one, the more expensive one, allows you access to all of the members' downloads on my website, plus free patterns and a free live class every month. Plus we do Tuesday lives in the membership group, and all members can access those. So we have a great time. So if you're at all interested, come and join us. We have way too much fun. And the group that have been with me since day one, they are absolutely fabulous. They know everything. And they're always willing to help out everybody, especially new members. So if you ever have a question, first person you go to, Linda Safranco, she'll be able to tell you almost anything. And if she can't, then I'm available all the time too. So there's that.
It's a cat.
That's not a cat. It's a pumpkin with a bow.
It's a cat. It's Garfield.
It's Garfield. It's a very fat cat.
It's Garfield.
Okay. If you say so.
With a cowlick.
Then, with a cowlick.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. It's a pumpkin.
Garfield.
Knucklehead. Today's giveaways, we have some really fun giveaways this week. We've been going through stencils, and we've been going through the orders for the newest stencils, and we just got a raft of them in this morning, so we haven't had a chance to get them up on the website yet. But to celebrate all of those, we have a set of stencils, 3 of them, going out in as part of the giveaways. And then of course we always add some fun things as well. So there's going to be some Dynasty brushes in there. There's going to be some of our new stencils in there. And of course we've got all those other fun little goodies. We've got buttons and pins and pens. And of course we put them all into a little create bag. So we have 3 of those to give away today. Estimate the value is about $50 US. That's not too bad. Not too bad. So those will be going out to 3 lucky winners today. Get your name on the wheel. All you have to do is join us in the chat and let us know where you're from. We love that. We like to know where everybody is. And ask a question, say hello, push all the buttons, the subscribe buttons, the follow buttons, the hello, I'm here button.
Share.
And the share button. Don't forget the share button. So that's all you have to do to get on the wheel. At the end of today's live, we spin the wheel and 3 lucky winners will receive those giveaways. What else? Oh, yes. Have to do some business stuff. That's the least fun part of this job. Some business stuff.
Business stuff?
Business stuff. Canada Post is on strike yet again. They're in a serious labor dispute with the Canada Post Corporation, so there is no mail being delivered, no mail being picked up, and everything that is currently in the system is just sitting there. So if you haven't received an order in the next few days, it's probably stuck in that mess. So please bear with us while we figure out ways to get this mess sorted out on our end, and we would appreciate a little kindness and a little patience. We're trying to deal with this problem in the best way we possibly can, so we appreciate the kindness and the patience. So that takes care of the business stuff, so let's get on to doing something a bit more fun and get our brushes into some paint. And if you guys are ready to get started on our peppermints and nutcrackers, so am I. Ta-da! I'm loving these tags. I just think that these are super fun, and that screen's frozen. Dang it. Our screen is frozen. Give us a sec.
Why are you doing things?
Just hang on to your hats. We're going to get this sorted out.
Should be awake.
Is it awake? It's awake. There we go. It was asleep, apparently.
Decided to have a nap.
It decided on a nap. So, Linda sent me a message. Sweetheart, thank you so much. To say hi to her mom. Hello, Mary. And to Petra. Hello. Mary Lynn McBay. Good morning. You're from Mount Hope, Ontario. Wow. Thank you. I like my nutcrackers. I happen to think they're pretty cute. Does the series come in a packet? Each one of them is available as an e-packet, yes. Every pattern I make is available as an e-packet. I don't do printed packets often unless somebody requests it. We are still shipping. We are shipping through Purolator and UPS currently. We've made arrangements for that. It unfortunately has changed the cost of shipping. So we're going to a flat rate for the time being. And if the actual shipping cost is lower than the flat rate, we refund the difference. So that is what we're trying to do. We're just trying to keep things as affordable and as simple as possible. So
to get another key light.
What's wrong with my key light?
Casting shadows.
Ah. So this is the one we're covering today. I love this one. I love the textures in it. I love the colors in it. It's just got lots of fun stuff going on. And I love the color palette. It's a very traditional, but I went a little left of center and chose a green with a bit more yellow in it. So this one is really fun to paint. So this is our peppermints and nutcrackers. We have one left in the series. We're going to be doing the candy canes and nutcrackers. That's the last one in the series, and I think you guys are going to love that one too. But this is our project for today. Now this one it's a very simple process. I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to work with some stencils. This is one of my favorites. I love snowflakes. And the color that I'm using, you can use warm whites. For this, it's a really simple one. And I'm using like 3 or 4 snowflakes that's on this stencil, but I really want these little ones. I like the little ones. So we're just going to stencil some of these in. I'm not too worried about whether or not they're perfect. I rather like them when they're distressed. And we're going to essentially make them look like they're falling. So, pretty little snowflake. I rearrange until I get what I want. There we go. And then I like this one too. So I just work my way down the surface, like so. I don't want them too close together. I'm fond of some open spaces. There we go. And I'll put a few more of these. I have to turn it this way. A few more little ones. I like the little ones. It fills up negative space without making things too big. And it would be so helpful if you could see what I was doing. Pat Jones, all of the stencils that I use are available on my website at tracymoreau.net. And I come down to about here. I don't see the need to cover the whole thing, but come down about here. But it's just so much fun. As I said, with this Canada Post strike, it's making things a little difficult and a little pricier. So if you want to combine orders, please do so. As I said, if the actual shipping is lower than what was billed to you, we refund the difference. We're trying to keep things as affordable as we possibly can. We know in this day and age how difficult that is. And just when you're placing orders, if you live in the States, be aware that you may get hit with some additional charges after delivery. And that has to do with tariffs, etc. So there we are. So I'm just going to tuck a couple more little ones in, and then I think we're good to go. Easy peasy. That's about what I want right there. On the palette, it doesn't look white, but on the wood it does. Yeah, actually, I'm using sand gray on mine. Just because it was on the palette and it gives me the same effect. So, sand gray. I'm going to dry this. As I said, we got a pile of stencils in today, and one of the ones that I got in today is this cute little knit, Icelandic knit thing. It's super cute. I try to keep things as affordable as possible. Not all of my stencils, but all of my M Square, yes. All of my M Square stencils are available on Sandy's site. Oh, Lucy, that's so sad. Carolyn Spondenberg from Long Branch, New Jersey. Hello. Good morning, Charmaine and Joan. So I'm going to sand this just lightly. I just want to lightly distress these snowflakes, but they need to be dry when I do that. And to answer the question, the snowflakes are warm white or sand gray. I'm using sand gray because that's what I had on my palette. But sand gray looks like white when you put it over this dark one. There we are. So I'm going to take a piece of shop towel and I'm going to dampen it. Just a little bit of water, and I'm going to wipe off the dust. Comme ça. Just like that. I don't like to leave the dust on. There we go. Now, I'll dry it really well. It is not gray and gloomy here. It is sun shining. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. I never thought I'd say this, but I really wish it would rain. We had a torrential rain the other night, but it wasn't nearly enough. We're in drought conditions here and a very high fire index. What color is the background? The background for this is deep midnight blue. I've kept the same background color throughout this series, just to simplify things. And it unifies them, it brings them all together. So I'm putting a float of Prussian blue all the way around the outside edge, and it is a sloppy float. Only going to be 78. I think the temperature here today is about 12, 13 degrees. It's a little on the cool side. It's actually very nice. I've been waiting for fall. 82 degrees. Wow. Well, it is New Brunswick in September going into October. So yeah, it's going to be a little on the cool side. I'm waiting for it to get a little bit cooler because I love the cooler weather. I love snowflakes. Snowflakes just make for nice airy looking pieces. And this is for the background. It is things that are shoved off into the distance. So now that I've got that nice dark float around the outside, nope, wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm enjoying the cool. We've had a ridiculously hot summer, so I'm enjoying the cool. So I'm going all the way around the outside edge with a float of asphaltum, which is that darker brown. And if you've never painted with me before, I use this stuff like it's going out of style. So, nice float of asphaltum all the way around the outside edge. This just tones this piece, warms it up, keeps it from getting too cold. So, nice little float all the way around the outside edge. And I'm going to dry that. Hi, Cheryl. Good morning. Good heavens. You know, another storm coming your way. They have not made large bottles for me, although I wish they would. I really do. Now, once you have this dry, we're going to take a float of asphaltum, not a float, a wash, pardon me. I'm going to heavily thin this, and we're going to put a wash of that asphaltum over everything. Now, I've been using sand gray quite a bit lately instead of warm white. Oh, I'm so glad that Maylee liked her gift. Thank you. Thanks, Faye. And I love the flowers she made. Isn't that a great blue? This is a deep midnight blue. This is one of my favorites. It's a nice rich dark blue, but it has a slightly gray undertone. And it's really, really nice. It's great for, especially for vintage style things. I love that color. What's for dinner tonight? We are having shepherd's pie. Just an old-fashioned. My family's been on this kick of comfort food this past week. And so they've been eating, some of their old-time favorites. For some reason, I just haven't made them in a very long time. So they had a request for something, so I made it. Believe it or not, they had Newfie steak this week. We have it. There's this thing we call Newfie steak. It is, it's bologna cut quite thick. I'd say about half an inch thick. And we top that with Dijon mustard. And then over top of the Dijon, you put brown sugar. And then it gets baked in the oven. And it's a favorite. My husband has loved it since he was a kid. And he still loves it. And so do my kids. So that's what we had for dinner one night this week. And I'm trying to remember what the other one was, but there was something else. We had a boiled dinner, and tonight we're having shepherd's pie. Old-fashioned shepherd's pie. It was just, we ground beef and lots of mashed potatoes. So, yeah. Dijon, oh yes, brown sugar over Dijon mustard. Patrick, I know it's an affront, but it is quite good, and my family love it. I don't make mine with lamb. I make it with ground beef and ground turkey. Yes, you absolutely can use folk art asphaltum. The only thing I will say is you're going to have to thin it a little bit more because theirs is a little darker. That's all. But it will give you the same tone. Yes. I for a while during the pandemic, couldn't get asphaltum anywhere. Couldn't order it from Decor because Decor was closed. So I was in one of the craft stores in town, and they had a bottle of asphaltum from Folk Art. So that's what I used for almost a year because I just couldn't get my hands on anything else. So, yep, it works. So there you go. There is your background all ready for your nutcracker. Now I have mine already prepped. This one is going to be for my candy cane nutcracker. So there we go. Now this nutcracker, I've tried to stick to a very traditional palette wherever possible. I'm using a little bit of warm white. We're going to be using country red. That's my favorite go-to red. I use that for so many things. Well, you are a Frenchman, Patrick. I know it sounds like a really odd thing, but it's delicious. The mustard just does something with the brown sugar. It's very good. My husband loves it. We call it Newfie steak because it's like a poor man's meal. So it's delicious, surprisingly. Hi, Anne. I love the green. Isn't that green awesome? So I've got one coat of this. This is festive green, Decor's festive green. Such a pretty color. And I noticed that some people were really having trouble finding it. And we're looking for a substitute. And this is a good one, is holly green. Is a good Iris. That conversion chart for folk art to Americana is available on my website. You'll find it in the free educational materials section. So holly green is a good substitute. All you really need is something in that high yellow green. There's another one too, and I'm forgetting what it's called. But there's several really good greens that you could use. But I really liked this one. I find it has a nice pop of oomph. So I'm just going to quickly put another coat on there. I put underneath this, I put a coat of warm white because this green is very transparent and it doesn't cover as well as we would like. So I put a coat of warm white down first and then put a coat of the festive green. It's a nice pop. Linda Morgan, you have a great weekend. Is it one of the things that one of the things that nutcrackers have in common that everybody dislikes is their teeth. Most people are really kind of put off by them. They look a little evil. So I was going to make a suggestion. I put them in, but I'm kind of ambivalent about them. I'd like them to go away. But one of the things that you could do is to simply continue the beard up over the teeth and leave a little opening here between his mustache, just above the beard. Cover the mouth and let the mustache and the beard take care of it. I'm not super keen on the teeth myself, and I've just sort of been, waffling around what to do with them. But it struck me the other day that we could simply just make the teeth go away and hide them behind the beard and the mustache. That would work for me because I'm not keen on the teeth either. So I'm put a base coat on everything, but I'm looking at it going, not as nice a base coat as I would have liked. There we go. I just put one more little coat on top, I don't know, just to make it pretty. It just looked a little sketchy, that's all. Here's my girl, Karen. Karen, sweetie, I've got a parcel for you going out Monday by UPS. I found your savory, so I've sent you a bunch. He needs a gold tooth. We could give him a gold tooth, absolutely. I think one of the other ones we did that. Bologna is a type of sausage, right? Patrick, it's similar to Leonwurst. Very similar, except Leonwurst is made with lamb, or with veal, but it's similar. It's a very fine sausage. It's very inexpensive here, but in Europe, maybe not so much. But yeah, it's different. Yeah, Deb, that's the one thing I found in all of this is that most people had an issue with the teeth. And I don't blame it because I think that's what makes them look kind of creepy. But I was trying to not make them creepy. So I've got a little bit of plantation pine. We're going to work on his coat, first things first. So a little bit of plantation pine. I love this color. And I need my brushes. I've had one of those days where I couldn't find my butt with both hands. I'm looking for an angle shader. There we go. Hi, Bobby. So we're going to shade all of this holly green. I better make sure it's all dry. With a little bit of plantation pine. And we're going to leave the face for last. So, floats around the outside edge of the coat. Ever one of those days where you can't float to save your soul? I think that's me today. I had way too much paint, way too much water, and then I overblended it and didn't leave enough paint in the brush. There we go. It's one of those things. So, nice little float behind the belt, like so. Underneath the beard. And I did it again. Underneath those epaulets. So essentially all the way around the outside edge of that green. There we go. I think that, well, let's try that then. And we'll have a look and see what happens to this. I like the idea of experimenting. You never know till you try, right? So I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to grab a little bit of margarita. There's Arlene. Hello. Some days, I swear, I couldn't float my way out of paper bag. So, a little bit of margarita. We don't need a ton. Just make sure it's dry. And then we're going to grab a dry brush. You know, here's hoping I have one. I have a clean one. That would be nice. Good gravy, Marie. I've been batting 1,000 this week. I kid you not. Okay. So I'm using a domed blender for this. I'm going to pick up a little bit of margarita. I'm going to blend it on my palette until the brush is almost dry. And then we're going to dry brush a highlight onto the coat. Just like that. More into the center of the coat, like that. I'm a big fan. I love margarita, and I love that it has that yellow tone that we're playing up on this gold. Or on this green, I'm sorry. It's such a pretty color. I just want this jacket to sort of have that, a dry appearance. I want it to have more of that soft wool look. There we go. And then I'm going to take a little bit of warm white. Just a tiny bit. And in the center of this, just put a nice little highlight. Like I said, I just want it soft. There we go. And then I'm going to come back in and deepen that float with a little bit of plantation. Just a narrow little float, just wherever it looks a little sketchy. And mine was looking a little sketchy. So we've got a nice soft look going in there. Hi, Sky. And Carol Gansey, sunny Houston. I like the way she says sunny. Anytime I've ever been to Houston, it's been sunny and really, really hot. Except for once. I was there when Hurricane Dolly went through. That was the only time I've ever been to Houston when it wasn't sunny. There we are. Oh, I love that. So we're going to move over to these sleeves. Now I'm going to use a little bit of, I'm going to use a new palette is what I'm going to use. I've got so much corruption on here. There we go. So new palette, fresh palette. I'm going to use a little bit of Country Red. I love this part because it's so easy to do. Now, because it's white, you can use a graphite pencil. Just be aware that certain types of graphite will often leave you some gray showing, and I absolutely don't like that. So we're going to add a stripe, and it's going to be about this wide, maybe about a little thicker than 1/8 of an inch. The pattern is drawn on, so you can use that, but I'm going to freehand mine. Like so. So we have a nice bright red, and then there will be a green stripe in between the two. And I'm doing this on the diagonal. And boy, did I mess that up. One of the benefits of a graphite pencil is you can erase it. There we go. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas. There we go. I managed to mess that up entirely. So I'm going to use a rigger to put my stripes in. That one's a little too small. There we go. So I'm going to be working, this is good gravy. Here we go. I've got a 0 rigger. Do I use Jo Sonja medium? Yes, I do. I use Jo Sonja's fast dry glaze. And this is what I keep it in. I keep it in one of these little jaws like this. I like my little thing of, oh, my stars and garters. I managed to find the only rigger that's a total train wreck. There we go. Honestly. Remember a day where you just figure I should have stayed in bed? Today's that day. I love my Jo Sonja, my medium. So the stripes on the sleeves are Country Red. There we go. Like I said, about 1/8 of an inch wide. Just like so. Ta-da! I love stripes. Freehand and float, both F words. I agree. Oh, Lord. Facebook has been really wonky lately. We've had a few issues with it, but today, that's the reason we were running late, was we were trying to get connected to YouTube, and we're having a couple of issues there. But turned out that it was just, we just had to change a setting, and then we were fine. They do, they do look like a barbershop pole, don't they? Here we go. They won't for long, I promise you. And I'm going to do the same thing to the trousers. It must be sunspots. Oh, Judy, I don't disagree. I think the sun is having us on. Spewing out little solar flares just to mess with us, I think. Just to see how much trouble it can cause before we really get upset. Okay, so I've got nice little red stripes. Is the rigger the same as the liner brush? No, it isn't. A rigger, although it looks like a liner brush, given that it's, you know, round ferrule, etc., it is not. And this is why. A liner brush comes to a point, but this one actually has a flat chisel edge. It squares off just like a flat brush, and so it makes it ideal for doing lettering, etc. Whereas a liner brush comes to a sharp point, a rigger does not. Oh, this is the Jo Sonja Fast Dry Glaze, not Flow Medium. This stuff is fast dry glaze, and it is a game changer. I absolutely love it. I have used it for so many things over the years. So there we go. We've got our red in place. Now we're going to come back to that beautiful festive green, that gorgeous green that we used for the jacket. And we're going to take our liner brush this time. And I want a liner because I want a finer line. I'm using a Dynasty Micron. This is a 0 extra long detail liner. These are my favorites. I love the extra long details. So in between each of those red stripes, you're going to put a stripe of festive green. Nice fine green stripe. Just like that. On the diagonal, just like you did the red. And it is going to look a little rough. This looks a little rough right now, but we'll fix that. So, and do the same thing for the trousers. My daughter and I took a girls' day to go do some shopping for Renee. He has a birthday coming up. And we went into one of our favorite shops in town, and lo and behold, they have begun putting out Christmas decorations, and they had a huge selection of nutcrackers. So needless to say, we were trying to decide which one would be the next one for this year. And there's so many, it was impossible to decide. So I'm going to dry this. Ta-ta-da. Make sure everything is good and dry. Then I'm going to bring out a little bit of Prussian blue. We don't need much, just a little. This is a great color for shading anything with a lot of whites and reds in it. have a day. I'm having a day. Can't find the brush I need. There we go. So I'm using a 3/8 angled shader. This is a faux squirrel. And I'm picking up a little bit of Prussian blue. And we're going to float a narrow little shadow on the left side of the arm. Just a narrow one. This is the highlight side, so we want that float to be quite narrow. And then float along the top of the sleeve, right there. Underneath the epaulette. And we're going to do the same thing to the trousers. Narrow float on the highlight side, which is the left side. Not too strong. Across the top of the boot. And underneath the hem of the jacket. Just like that. There we go. I'm going to dry all of that. I'm going to rinse out my brush. And then we're going to pick up that Prussian blue, but a little more. And I'm going to make it a little broader. And this is the shading color for the other side. Now it's going to come about 1/3 of the way across the sleeve. So you're going to be left with an open area here. Just like that. And you're going to do the same thing to the trousers. So I'm going to dry that really well, and then we're going to put a soft dry brush of warm whites on the sleeve. Just a little bit of warm white. I'm going to grab, I can never seem to find my dry brush when I need it. No, it's not big enough. Fine. I can't find one, then I will create one. So I'm going to use a very small stencil brush. This is a 1/4 inch stencil brush. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm whites. I'm going to blend it well. And then I'm going to blot it on paper towel. And we're going to use that to put a dry brush right down the sleeve, full length of the sleeve like that. And I'm keeping it towards the highlight side, so over to the left side. Nice little dry brush, straight through all of the colors. And I'm going to do the same thing to the trousers. So there is our initial highlight. That just kind of sets the tone. And then I'm going to take my angled shader, a little bit of warm white, and we're going to get a nice float going. And just to the edge of that dry brushed highlight, we're going to put a float of warm white from top to bottom. Just to the edge of it. Just like that. And then I'm going to take my liner brush, I'm going to thin out some of that warm white, full strength, get it nice and bright, just thin enough to move, and just slightly in from the edge where we put that last float, just slightly in, we're going to put a nice stroke of warm white right through all of it. And this just helps give this that slick look, that painted look. There you go. So now you've got that slick candy cane look with just simple strokes. Love the polish. So I'm going to dry that really quick, and then we're going to tackle all of that gold trim. And I love that part. We're going to be using a little bit of baby duck. If you don't have baby duck, you can use Sunny Day. You just need something with a nice yellow, nice warm yellow tone. I'm going to grab my rigger again. And we're going to use that baby duck to paint in all of that trim. So let's start with the coat. I'm going to put that trim on the coat. Comme ça. I like doing this last, after you've done all the other stuff on the coat, simply because this helps clean up a whole bunch of little issues. You know, where it's nice crisp edges. Anything that looks a little wonky is fixed by this little band of yellow. I like doing this gold trim. I just think it just adds something to this. But I avoid using like a true metallic for this because the metallics are horrible coverage a lot of the time. Takes too many coats. And I'm not a patient person when it comes to coats of paint. So I gravitate towards creating the look of gold as opposed to painting it with gold. Of course, if you want to do it in real gold, by all means go ahead, but I just like to be able to create the look of it. It's easy peasy. Here we go. Baby duck is such a versatile yellow. It covers fairly well, and it takes other colors really nicely. But like rigger brushes go back quite a ways, actually. Absolutely, Debbie. You could use a gold paint pen. Hi, Jess. How did you break your toes? Dare I ask? I broke mine falling off of the front stoop. And trying to catch myself. I should have just fallen. That's always... And broken toes are miserable because you can't do anything about them. You can tape them together and keep, hope for the best. That's essentially it. But broken toes are a misery. They make every pair of shoes you own feel like torture chambers. Okay. I'm just putting one more coat on this yellow because I wasn't liking the streaky look. There we go. Awesome sauce. I love this one. I love the candies in it. Everything about this one is just... This one is just so fun. And you can have a blast painting these ones. They're super simple. There's nothing complex about them. I try to keep things simple. I also try to stick to a versatile palette so that you're not having to have 26 colors in order to finish things. Those things frustrate me no end. So I'm going to dry this. Now I need a little bit of lamp black because we have to paint his belt. And I always leave this one, the belt, until last because it cleans up a bunch of things when you do this. Super easy. So lamp black for the belt. And this will help you clean up like any rough areas at the base of the coat. It just makes everything nice and clean. I like the practical part of this. And then we have a little opening in the buckle. There we go. So I'm going to dry that and then I'm going to paint the buckle with the same baby duck that I used for the rest of the trim. Easy peasy. There we go. A Halloween porch board. Oh, he would make a great Christmas porch board. I've got a piece on the go. It's my husband made the surface for me. And I'm thinking I want to put a nutcracker in it. Okay. And this little bit at the hat here has been bugging me because it's not really pretty. There we go. There we are. See who else? Rosie Matsumoto. Hello. And Arlene Rounds. Thanks for joining us. So, to really make all of this gold pop, we're going to use a little bit of orange flame. I love this color. And I'm going to use my small angled shader, my 3/8. I'm going to pick up nice little float, and we're going to make this look a little hot. So nice little float at the top, right there, and another one at the bottom, like that. There, out at the edge. You can walk it in a little bit, doesn't hurt. You don't want to have this little orange bar out at the sides. And then we've got a little bit here that's going to go across, and a little bit here that's going to go up. This is the thing. This one goes up, like so, and this one goes this way. And we're going to do the same thing to the epaulets. Little float on either side. And don't forget to put a little float of that orange on the top of that epaulet. It just gives everything a nice little glow. And then we're going to do the same thing to the hat up here. This little gold trim on the hat. And again, I like to walk it out a little bit. I'm going to darken it a little in some places. And I love to give that buckle a little bit at the top. So far so good. So there are little tassels that come off of those epaulets, and they're super easy. We're going to just take a liner or a fine rigger or just a brush that is going to give you that short stroke. And you're going to pull, starting at the bottom of that epaulet, just some short strokes like this so that they hang down. I leave a narrow space in between them all. Hi, Dawn. And then we're going to take a little bit of that. Oh, better dry that first. A little bit of that orange flame and go in between each of those yellow stripes. We're just going to tuck a little stripe of that orange in between. And that's what creates your tassels coming off of that epaulet. And Heidi, hello Heidi. And Lucinda, hi. And Linnea Rideout, hi. Good to have you with us. So this little guy seems to be coming together quite well. We've got that nice little belt. We're going to grab, I'm going to grab a finer liner, I think. And we're going to, oh goodness. That liner brush looks like it's seen better days. Good heavens. So I'm going to use a liner brush to add highlights to the center of that gold with just some fine white lines, a little bit of warm white in the center, like that. Again, I think that liner brush has seen better days. I'm going to have to get some new brushes. My liner brushes have had their best days, I think. There we go. So, in between the orange, you're going to put a series of really fine little highlights in between where that orange float is and over top of that yellow. Just in there. It's nice short little strokes, nice fine lines, gives you a nice little highlight, and it's super simple. And don't forget, you can put a few strokes of that white into those tassels as well on the highlight side. I love it. And then do the same for your belt buckle. Now our little belt buckle, our little belt actually, needs a highlight, as does our hat. So I'm going to use that 1/4 inch stencil brush that I used the last time for the legs. And we're going to, oh goodness, I think my stencil brush is wet. Oh, don't mind me, I just made a mess. My stencil brush was wet. So my brush is not dry brushing, it's smearing. There we go. Well, as luck would have it, I have another small stencil brush. Quarter inch stencil brush. A little bit of warm white. I wet my stencil brush, so there you go. Okay, so warm white. It's a light touch. Oh, much better. So we want the lighter portion in the center of the hat, and then it gradually fades out as it goes to the outside edge. So make sure that that center portion of the hat is the lightest portion. So it still looks a little bit rough, but that's okay because we're going to adjust some shading to get that to work. We're going to take that small liner brush and that lamp black, and we're going to paint the tops of the boots. That cuff on the boot is going to get painted lamp black. Because we are going to have to highlight these boots too. And there we go. Nice little bit of lamp black. I like a rigger for these small areas because it fills in areas really nicely. So we're going to dry that. Dry brushing always provides you with a nice soft look. So on the belt, again, I'm going to use a light dry brush just to lightly highlight the belt area, just like that. And I'm going to do the same down the highlight side, just line it up with the highlight on the leg. Nice little dry brush highlight down the boot. And then round one over at the toe, like that. So highlight side of the boot. Don't forget to highlight round over for the toe of the boot. There we go. So I've got a nice big angled shader. I'm going to take a nice float of lamp black and float the edge left and right on the hat. Just like that. It just softens the outer boundary on that dry brush a little bit. And then I'm going to put a small highlight horizontally across the cuff of the boot, just like that. Love it. Any place you feel you need a little brighter highlight, go ahead. Now, liner brush, a little bit of warm white, just a little. We're going to put a small stroke in these areas here, just a small stroke. Nothing major. Going to do a horizontal line going from the highlight side over, and then just in from the edge of that highlight, we're going to put a stroke, a fine stroke of warm white. Little highlight on the tip of the boot, just like that. Super easy. Which all of that brings us to this next step. We're going to put some buttons on our coat. Now I love using a nice little stencil for this because it just works so well. So little stencil brush, a little bit of baby duck. And I'm going to use, I like using a stencil to do this. Look at that. It just makes this part so easy. And then you can put 3 in a row. Like so. And if you use a circle maker, polka dot maker, things like that, it just makes your life so much simpler getting those little details in. If you don't have something like that, then the end of a brush will work just fine. You just need to make buttons, circles. So I'm going to grab my 3/8 angle and a little bit of that burnt orange, or that orange flame, sorry. And we're going to put it on the shading side. So a little float on the button. And I try to come in just a scooch in from the edge, just a little bit. By doing that, it helps you make these buttons look round as opposed to, or spherical as opposed to just round. So I've got a nice little shadow. So rinse the brush, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm white. And I'm going to put a nice little float of white on the highlight side of the button. Just a simple little float. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just like that. So they're starting to look pretty round. And then I'm going to use a liner brush and some warm white. And we're going to put a nice little highlighted dot on the upper left side, right at the edge of that highlight on each of those buttons. There we go. So we got nice shiny buttons. Hi, Vera. I like the Mezzaluna, but I find I need them for much larger surfaces. For little tight areas, I really like the smaller stencil brush. Now, you have some options with this part. I'm going to use a little bit of lamp black, and I'm going to put a little line from each button over to its mate on the opposite side. Just a nice little thin line. And then to make it stand out, I like to take, oh goodness, take your liner brush and a little bit of warm white and give it a little highlight, just like that. Just a fine stroke of white on top just gives it a little more depth. Our uniform is coming along swimmingly. So I've got a little bit of, this is cotton candy. Cotton candy is the color I used for the face of our Nutcracker, and I have a spot that I have to touch up right here because I'm not happy with it. It just didn't work as well as I wanted it to. Just want to touch up that little area there, and I want to paint the hands. So one or two coats of cotton candy for the hands. Super simple. I'm going to dry that really well. I like cotton candy for flesh tones. Hi, Nita. Nice to have you with us. It's nice to see so many people joining the chat. That's awesome. So I'm just going to fix up my sleeve here because I kind of buggered it. There we go. It's a marvelous thing about paint. Well, if you're not happy with it, you can just paint over it. And I just boo-booed on this sleeve. Not sure how I did it, but I did it. There we go. He's so stinking cute. So dry that really quick. I'm going to give the hands another quick coat of cotton candy. I just like this color. Here we go. I just wanted a really nice opaque finish for the hands. Is there a replacement color for cotton candy? There is. Hang on one sec. It's not a perfect match, but it's still a great flesh tone. It's white peach. It's a little less pink, but it is a really good substitute for, especially if you're doing skin tones. For me, they're interchangeable. It depends on what I want, but I like them both. So make sure the sleeves are good and dry, and I'm going to take a little bit of Bahama Blue. I like Bahama Blue. A little bit of Bahama Blue. This is one of my favorite shading colors for whites. So, a little bit of Bahama Blue. On the shading side, which is on this side, we're going to, oh my goodness, I've got way too much color in my brush. I didn't blend it out well enough. There we go. So on the shading side, you're going to put a float of Bahama Blue on the sleeves. And then I'm going to dry that really well. And then I'm going to add just a weak float of heavily thinned asphaltum over top of that. So just tone that, oh goodness, See what I said? I'm hopeless today for floating. So, little bit of thin asphalt and blend it out. You don't want this color full strength. And we're going to shade the hands with a little bit, just a float of asphaltum on the shaded side, the shadow side, like so. And then we're going to add a little highlight to these hands as well. A little bit of warm white, like that, on the highlight side. There we go. Now we're going to give the sleeves a button. I like doing 2. You can do 1. It doesn't matter. The buttons. So 2 on each cuff. There we go. And I'm going to dry this really well. Hey, Norma. We all have our days. I seem to be having more than my fair share lately. I don't know why. So I'm going to dry that real quick, and then we're going to add a simple highlight to the buttons with just a dot of warm white. Simplicity works. Little dot of warm white on, there we go. There's our buttons. Love it. Love it. There we go. Now, one of the things that I neglected to do before we got so carried away, I forgot to paint the little ball at the top of his hat. I've done this several times. Every time I do one of these nutcrackers, this seems to be the thing that I forget to do until the very end. So I'm putting down a coat of warm white, and then I'm going to put a coat of that festive green over top of the white. That coat of white just keeps that green looking very lively, nice and bright. Whereas if I just put it over top of the blue, it would have, it would not have had the zing that it has. I love the energy of that green. So little plantation pine to shade it. And we kind of want this to look a little slick. So we're going to use a nice little highlight. That green just goes on the shading side of that little ball, just like that. Da-da-da. We want to make this look a little round. And then I'm going to use a little bit of warm white just to put a simple little highlight on it. Just very simple. And then the liner brush to put in a stroke of white for a final impact point. For those of you that were asking, my Merry Christmas floor cloth pattern will be up on the website this afternoon. I really love that. It's so pretty. And you could make it into a table runner. You could make it into whatever you wanted. I just did it as a simple floor cloth. So we're going to work on his face. His face needs some work. I think at this stage of the game, we all need a little work. His face, I'm going to find, what did I do with my shape maker? Honestly, some days, so I've got a shape maker, and we're going to put the eyeballs on with the shape maker. So I have a thing for eyeballs. So I want the eyeballs to go right about there. Not quite the middle of the face, but almost. I'm going to just put a light, where's my chalk pencil? I'm going to put a line of chalk across his face so that I can center these eyeballs, because the last 2 times I've done it, I managed to have them on different levels. Don't ask me how I did it, but I did. So I'm going to choose this one, and I want these eyeballs to be about 1/4 of an inch from the outside edge. Well, maybe a little more. There we go. And I'm going to use lamp black and my stencil brush to make a nice round eyeball. I'm going to dry it because it's me, and I'll smear it if I don't. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Comme ça. Little lamp black. Et voila, look at that. They're both level now. The other day I did this and they were not level. There we go. Now, he needs a nice rosy cheek, so I'm going to use my 1/4 inch stencil brush. I got a clean one this time. And I'm going to blot it on paper towel. And we're going to make a nice rosy cheek right about there. Rosy cheeks are awesome, especially on a nutcracker. There we go. Nice rosy cheeks. Now, where's my liner? There it is. So we're going to finish these eyes. Starting at the top of the eyeball, I'm going to bring a nice little arch down so that it just comes past that line a little bit. Of course, I messed that one up. Par for the course today. There we go. You know, ever have a day? I'm having a day. It's one of those days where everything you touch with a liner brush gets bigger. You know? Been there, done that. Close enough for government work. Yes, Debbie, it's country red. The cheeks are country red. I just moved the same series of colors all the way around this piece. So the eye is going to get a little float of warm white, heavily thinned. We don't want this full strength. And on the highlight side, we're going to, oh goodness, see? Told you, I'm having a day. We're going to put a nice little float of warm white on the highlight side of the eyeball. There we go. Managed to do that without too much devastation. And then on the upper left side of each eye, right about here, right on your highlight, you're going to put a dot of white. Ta-da! Eyeballs. Sometimes my days last for a week. Oh my goodness. I can't even begin to tell you. So we're going to give this guy a nose. And the nose is a triangle. Just like that. Oops. I'm just going to sketch a little triangle into the middle of the face. Like so. Now the nice part is our base coat is already there. We really just have to shade it. And then of course highlight it. So I'm going to use a little bit of thin asphaltum. I'm going to blend this out because I really don't want this color full strength. And we're going to put a float of asphaltum around the outside edge of the face. Just like so. Oof, that's a little strong, but I'll blend it out. There we go. And then the little float is going to go down the right side of the nose and a little bit on the bottom. Just like that. And then a float of asphaltum underneath the brow or the brim of that hat, all the way across. So there's our face. You can see that little shadow on the other side of the nose there. And then a float of warm white is going to go down the other side of the nose, like so. So I'm going to dry that. And remember what I said about the mouth? We're going to eliminate the teeth altogether. What is Miss Lucy up to again? He will look like a juvenile nutcracker without his teeth. Oh, Vicky, if you had seen me earlier this week, you'd have died laughing going, geez, who would watch her? She doesn't know what she's doing. I've had one of those weeks where just no matter what I did. I started on a piece for Halloween and it's already been repainted twice. And I've just halfway through the third painting now because I managed to mess it up so badly. So, needless to say, we all have our days. So I'm going to paint his beard. I'm going to bring his beard up a bit. I think the teeth just make them look a little evil. If that's, there's something a little scary about them. We have so many nutcrackers and we're always looking to add to our collection. But we tend to be we've become very selective because there's so many out there. We try to find some that are completely unique. So some of our nutcrackers are really unusual and some of them are very traditional. What did I do with my chalk pen now? There it is. Jeez. Oh. So, we were watching you have so much fun laughing with you. I'm so glad. Because, if you can't laugh at yourself, honestly. So, I'm going to draw in my mustache, like so. I love the curly cues because, girls got to have the curly cues. There we are. I love curly cues on my mustache. Needs to be. So I've drawn in my mustache and I've drawn in my hair. Just so much fun. But I am going to fix something though. I think we do need a little bit of a mouth of some sort in here. So I'm just going to come back in with a little bit of that cotton candy. And I'm just going to paint a little triangle under the mustache where the joints are. Oh, one holding ornaments. Oh, wouldn't that be cute? Oh, goodness. I know there's just an abundance of ideas. Our piece for next Saturday is a Halloween piece. I don't often do Halloween pieces, but I've been wanting to do this one for a while, and I got the cutest surface for it. You know, I think you're right, Patrick. Either that or the Sergeant Major thing. I don't know. There's something about a handlebar mustache, right? Oh, one with ornaments. Wouldn't that be cute? I have jingle bells, little wooden jingle bells. Wouldn't that be cute? I could go for months doing these things. That's the problem. I could keep going, and then all we'd ever paint is nutcrackers. But I know everybody loves a Christmas ornament, and I kind of lose my grip on reality at Christmas time too. So I'm going to use warm white to base my moustache, our little mustachioed friend here. Just such fun. Was trying to decide on a theme for my Christmas decorating this year, and I think it might be nutcrackers. I don't know. I'm just kind of a little obsessed at the moment. And I've found so many cute ones. And these will be put out this year too, I think. There we are. So now he has a moustache. I need some more warm white. You can tell I've been painting a lot the last couple of weeks because I am out of... That just emptied my third bottle of warm white. So our guy is going to look, kind of strange if we don't give him some eyebrows. I'm not keen on this new trend. All these singers and actresses are going with no eyebrows. It's kind of creepy. I like the face much better without the teeth. I agree. I like it. So, the moustache and the beard. We're going to use a little bit of warm white. Not warm white. Bahama blue. And we're going to float underneath the moustache and under the mouth. That little piece of pink that we put in there, that cotton candy. Oh, love it already. And then the mustache is going to get a float of Bahama blue along the bottom. Like so. Just on the bottom. Now, the one on the beard, you can walk that down quite a ways. Don't be afraid. It's not going to hurt anything. Oh, I like it. Although he looks less like a nutcracker and more like a tin soldier. Hi, Ramona. Perfection and reality are so overrated. Isn't that the truth? That is so true. So I'm going to take a minute to find my round brush. I know I have one here somewhere. That's not it. There it is. And we're going to take some warm white because I completely forgot about his hair. I'm going to give him hair like Alfred. So when I put this white in, I bring it up nice and close. It gives you a nice crisp line at the edge of the face. Rounds out the face nicely too. So if you were like me and you kind of wobbled and bobbled that cotton candy, you can clean things up quite easily. There we go. So if I make his hair kind of fuzzy there, he starts to look like Albert Einstein. There we go. I like the fluffy. He needs sideburns and a ponytail? No. No ponytail. Yep, we're just experimenting to see what works and what doesn't. And I kind of like this. If you're not into the teeth, paint over it. The teeth are just painted white and then there we go. So we're going to thin out some asphaltum, heavily thinned. I rarely use asphaltum full strength. It's always thinned out. And we're going to put a float of that over the mustache, right over that Bahama blue. Like so. And the same with the beard. We're going to use that shade under the mustache and walk it down. Don't be afraid to walk it down. Look at that. And we're going to do the same thing to the hair. So shade along the face like so, and along the shoulders there. A little bit of Bahama blue. Da, da, da. Oh, he's so cute. Now, I've got a little bit of titanium white. Yes, they were intended to have teeth. We decided to paint this one without teeth, just to see what he'd look like. I mean, why not, really? Oh my stars. I think I need to get some more titanium white too. Just went through the bottom of that bottle. So, thin titanium white and your extra long detail liner. And we're going to add the curlicues at the bottom of the mustache. I have a thing for these mustaches. I like them to be, curlicued. And then we're going to overstroke the beard and the mustache with that titanium white just to make it look a little fuzzy. Just a little. Just a few light strokes. Ooh. Just think this is a fun way to get that texture. And the titanium white gives you a little contrast with the other colors that you've painted onto that mustache and that beard. And you're going to do the same thing with the rest of the beard. You can add those little strokes over top to make it look fuzzy. Just little details. Those are the things that help make this work. And then we'll move on to our candies. Oh, love the beard. And then we're going to do the same thing to the hair. A little float of asphaltum over top of that Bahama blue. Da-da-da. I'm going to dry that real quick. We'll add some details to the hair. I love this little guy. I happen to think that he's really cute. So lots of little fine strands of hair with the titanium white to give our little guy dimension and texture. As I said, if you want the teeth, put the teeth. You don't want the teeth, then make his beard a little longer so he doesn't have so many. There we go. Love it. Now, to add a final highlight to this little guy, we're going to take that warm white and we're going to add a highlight to his upper cheek with just a dot of warm white on his cheeks. A little stroke of white on his hands. And then I like a little line of warm white at the edge of the hat, just to denote the shape of it a little. It's just a simple little highlight, nothing too over the top. And I'm going to dry that really quick. And then we're going to talk about the candies, because they're super easy to do. Now, the candies are base coated with warm white. And we're going to use a rigger and a little bit of country red. Where'd my rigger go? There it is. So a little bit of country red. And you're going to paint the stripes. Now, the neat part about these little candies is that we've already put the lines in for you. So it's going to make things a little simpler. So you just paint up to that line with the country red. Now, I painted the sides and edges of this as well so that I can do this. I can paint the edge. Just adds a little more oomph to these guys. So when you see them from the side, they're painted. So it just gives them a little extra dimension. So country red to paint the stripes on your candies. And don't forget, everybody, tonight the Canadian women are playing, I think it's tonight or this afternoon, are playing England for the Women's World Cup of Rugby, which I'm pretty excited about. It was so cool watching them play earlier this week. It's such a rough sport, and yet these women are just incredible. And they beat New Zealand for a place in the final, which was something. So it'll be exciting to see if Canada can take England in this one. The only thing about painting these little things, I'm sorry, I'm not even on the screen. The only thing about painting these little things is I got to be able to see. And getting these things close enough so that I can see where I'm painting has been a trial this week. There we go. So, look at that. Ta-da! Only 3 more to go. What am I making for snacks for the game? Oops, I messed that up. I painted the in-between. I kind of goofed. I'm not really making snacks for the game. I'm going to be watching on my tablet while I'm in my kitchen, canning the last of my tomatoes. We picked the last of the tomatoes this week. So I want to get those canned before they get too soft. That's what I'm doing this weekend. What else am I doing this weekend? Oh, I'm emptying my planters this week because it's time. Everything has died off anyhow, so I'm emptying my planters, and I think I might put some autumn flowers or something, maybe pot mums or something out, and put my wreath up. I have the most adorable little fall wreath. It's got a scarecrow in it. Donna and Rich Pultz made it for me. So it's going up on the door again this year. Oh, Elsie! The game is over. The score was England. Oh, what a shame. But still, they've always played second fiddle or third fiddle to New Zealand and England, so that was that's nice. I'm sorry I missed it, though. I kind of wanted to catch that. Oh, God. See what I mean? Honestly. Couldn't find my butt with both hands today. Seriously. I'm usually much neater than this. Oh, rugby, Patrick. It was rugby. It's been a hard-won thing for our Canadian women's team. I mean, they have fought tooth and nail to get further up in the standings. And then when they came up against New Zealand the last time, they lost. And then they took them this time, which was such a nice thing to see. They were so excited to win that place. So, but you know what? Second place after a hard fought battle to get as far as they have is nothing to be ashamed of. Quite proud of our girls. There we go. So I've got 3 there. Oh, one more. Oh, good. I'll watch the game then. So exciting to see our Canadian girls make the playoff, which was just great. Or to make the final, I should say. And even they earned the respect of the New Zealand team, which was really nice. And the comments that I heard from the New Zealand team were quite good. They were asked, I guess, during an interview, like, what happened, because they were favored to win. And they said that they were just, they were outmatched. Quite simply, outmatched. The Canadian girls really brought their very best game. So, that was nice to hear. Goodness, these things are tedious. But they're fun, but they're tedious. And I'm having a hard time with them today. There we go. Okay. Oh, look at this. Good Lord. Ever have a day? I'm having a day. Hey, Deb. Hi, Judy. YouTube and Facebook have been really wonky lately. So I've managed to completely mess this up. I've got red where it should be white, and just a sloppy mess. So I gotta fix this because it's driving me crazy. I'm not looking for perfection, but you know, they still have to look like candies. So I'm gonna dry that real quick. There we are. So we have 4 candies. 3 are for the garland that is going to go across his hands, and the other one is for the hat, hence the highlight. Now when I did mine, I grabbed the wrong I grabbed a big one. And then when I was getting ready to do this, I grabbed the small one. So they're not exactly the same. Now to do these candies, these are really simple actually. So I'm going to grab my angled shader, and we're going to use a little bit of Prussian blue. Prussian blue tends to be my go-to color for shading candies and things like that, or shading anything with red and white. So I'm going to go about halfway, the halfway mark to the halfway mark. So top to bottom on one side, just like that. Nice little float of thinned Prussian blue. You don't want it full strength because it's a very strong color. So center to center, middle to middle. There we go. I've always liked sort of the halfway idea. It has always worked for me. And go all the way around to the other. So it should be half and half. Rinse out your brush. And we're going to put a highlight using thinned warm white on the other side. But you're going to come in just a little bit from the edge, and this one is going to start where the other highlights stop, where the shading stops. So all the way around till it meets the one at the bottom. So, okay. Again with the floating thing. There we go. Good Lord. So highlight, dum-da-da-dum, all the way around, just like that. It's one of those days, swear to God. Couldn't float. Okay. Lately, I seem to be having a lot of these days, but there we go. So we've got that little floated highlight in. And then we're going to add a final impact point with the liner brush. I'm going to use a little bit of titanium white for that. I just think the titanium stands out a little bit better. So coming in just in from the edge of that highlight, you're going to put a stroke like so. Just in from the highlight. There it is. Ta-da! So we've got some nice shiny candies. Now I'm going to use my liner and a little bit of thinned baby duck to create the I'm going to create the swag or garland, I think was the word I was using. There we go. I like to, again with the curly cues, I like my curly cues. Oh, what is with, I'm telling you. I have found every bad brush in my bin today. So I like to add a few little extra curly cues like this. And I like to make sure that they all overlap. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the one that crosses his lap, like so. Now, if you want to, you can add, use a black gel pen, or not a black gel pen, a gold gel pen, or a gold paint pen, and you can add an additional little bit of gold if you like. He looks cute with no dentures. Yeah, he does look cute with no dentures. Now I'm going to grab, I have a fugly brush here somewhere, a small one. There it is. My little fugly brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of water and a little bit of warm white. Comme ça. And I'm going to, starting at the top, we're going to add some icicles, just like this. I don't want them to be perfect, but I want to bring a little of those icicles in, like so. Isn't that fun? And then I like my liner brush just to stroke in a few little brighter ones over top of that. They don't have to be perfect. They can be short, they can be long. It does not matter. There we go. I like the idea of icicles on this. A little bit of icicle. So I'm going to dry this, and I'm going to grab my gold paint pen because we're going to do the edges in gold. There it is. And Renee should be down here shortly to get us ready for the wheel. But I'm going to show you how to put your stand on. And we are still doing some gold trim. I love doing this. It finishes ornaments and whatnot really, really nicely. To have that little bit of gold on the outside edge just finishes things. So I'm going to dry that. I'm going to grab one of these stands. I'm also going to grab the project that we're going to do next Saturday, so I can give you a sneak peek. So there we go. This comes with the set. So when you get the surface set, you get the tag and the 4 peppermints, plus you get one of the stands for this. And these things are great. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to grab my favorite craft glue. And on the back of the stand, I'm going to put a little bit of glue, like so. And then I center it on the back, right at the edge, and press it into place. Now you can clamp this I like using these things for clamping. They work really well. You can just snap them on. It'll hold it in place and it'll be out of the way. And then we're going to do the same thing for the candies. So we have one candy. Thing to keep in mind is where the highlight is. It's got to be on the highlight side of your nutcracker. So center candy there. And then we're going to place one on there. Remember, keep the highlight side on the right side. Or on the left, I should say, in this case. But a little bit of glue. And I love the candies in this. I just think it's so fun. Now, I like using my gel pen. Again, if you're not a fan of using the gel pen, then you don't have to. But I like it, so I use it. So I'm going to make sure that's good and dry. I'm going to add a few little details, like this little detail in the coat. And I'm going to put one around the buckle as well, because, just to separate it a little bit. And I like a little bit on the beard. You can do it on the mustache, a little in the hair. You can do it to, the edges here. I'm a fan. I like my black gel pens. But that doesn't mean that everybody is. So if you're not keen, you don't have to use it. And I don't like straight lines either. I would prefer things have that sort of scribbly look to them. It just makes things a little softer, a little easier to deal with. I love all the little details. Those are the fun things, all those little details that you put in. I like those things. So the last thing we're going to do to this, I'm going to take our little clip off now because we can. I can get it off. Oh, there's a new one coming. So we're going to take a fugly brush. Da-da-da-da, fugly brush. And we're going to pick up a little bit of thinned warm white, a little bit of water, and we're going to just lightly spatter this guy because I like the spattering. And then I'm going to show you one more thing because it's a Christmas piece. You can't overdo it with a Christmas piece. And one of my favorite things. This is one of my favorite things for Christmas stuff. I love this stuff. And this is that Duraclear Galaxy Varnish. I love this stuff. It's so much fun. And I like to do this to my candies. So take a little bit of that Galaxy Varnish and brush a little of that onto the candies. I think it just adds a little extra sparkle to things. Just a tiny bit of glitter. Of course, you could do as much or as little as you like. But it's just a little bit of glitter on those little areas. I'm going to make sure this is good and dry. But I love a little sparkle. And a little bit of sparkle goes a long way. Here they go. Now I like the Galaxy glitter, or that Galaxy varnish, that I love it because it's a little more subtle. So you get lots of color and it gives you just enough sparkle to make things pretty. Hi, Maze.
You're just having a nap?
There we go. Oh, look at that. Now, to finish off that stand, all you have to do is run a small bead. I don't want to lay this down completely because there. I'm going to run a small bead of that glue in that slot right there. And then pop that little leg in. And voila. As soon as it's dry anyway. It's not going to stay there if it's wet. So I'm going to make sure that my varnish is not wet. There we go. Love that little bit of sparkle in that Galaxy varnish. Yes, Maze is definitely here. There's no doubt about that. So before Renee switches me over, I'm going to
Do you mind?
quickly show you. This is the project I'm working on for next Saturday. It's our Halloween sign. So a little black cat and a pumpkin. And as I said, yes, word glue works perfectly on MDF. So yep, this is our project for next Saturday. Is this cute little black cat. It is not finished, so bear with me. This is the one that we're going to be doing. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. And then who knows, I might have that last 6th nutcracker finished by the following Saturday. So woo! Way too much fun.
Oh my God.
I love nutcrackers. They're fun.
Would you stop?
So you could. Linda's Franco. Yes, you can get that surface in the U.S. It's available at Cupboard Distributing. I had to think about that for a second. But yes, you can get it at Cupboard Distributing.
Oh.
What's the matter? Did you lose your wheel?
Won't recognize the window.
Uh-oh. Window title must match.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
Oh, goody. So just to remind you, the giveaways today, we have some fabulous new stencils. And of course, we have some Dynasty brushes thrown in there, and we have some goodies from both Renee and myself as well. So look out for a little create bag. And May's found her ball. I was wondering what the chewing sound was. And add melee to the wheel. Melee. M-A-E-L-E-E.
M-A-E?
L-E-E. Yeah, she's watching, but she doesn't have access to the chat. That's not good. Renee lost his wheel. That's not all he's lost. He's lost his mind.
Crackers.
No teeth on this one. Well, they are in the line drawing. You can do them if you like, but and the instructions are in there for them. But we wanted today to see what he'd look like without teeth. Sans teeth. Sans les dents. Pas de dents. All right, guys, if you are ready, Renee's going to spin the wheel. Carrie, yes, you're on the wheel.
I need my...
His notepad. Oh, look at that.
So
Here we go.
That way you're not going, what's this for? Where's random name on a piece of paper?
Okay. If you were in the chat, you're on the wheel. Boom. Sherry Desjardins is winner number 1. So if your name pops up on the wheel as a winner, you have to hop over to my website, click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and send us your shipping information so that we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible. And the next one.
Sherry D.
Number 2 goes to dun, 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 Verdi Hicks.
Verdi.
And we have one more. Click. And that one goes to Donna Pulse. I'm going to be teaching for Donna's group in March, or in the spring. I shouldn't say March. I can't remember the dates. I have to look at the calendar, but we're going to be teaching out there, or a Zoom class, so I'm excited about that. Perfect. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us again today. We love having you. And join me next weekend. We're going to be painting that adorable black kitten and the pumpkins for our Halloween piece. So we shall see you then. The surface is already available on the website. It is the tall pumpkin. So everyone, we shall see you next Saturday, same time, same bat channel. Thanks for joining us. Mwah. Love you. Stay safe.
Pet your dog.
And pet your dog.
I'm petting mine right now.
She's not giving you much of a choice.
Oh, God. Biting me.
Yeah, well, those are love
I
bites.
have an arm.
Love bites. Have a great weekend, everyone.